Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem online service for Sunday, August 30th, 2020. Whether you are a longtime member or you just stumbled across us, you are welcome. I'm Janet Stevens, and I'll be your celebrant today. Our minister, the Reverend Rick Davis, is not in the pulpit this week. Today, we welcome the Reverend Mark Gallagher, a frequent and welcome visitor to our pulpit. So let us worship together, not by kneeling down, but by looking up, looking forward, and rising up to meet the challenges of today. Welcome.
Our opening hymn today is number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, in the Great Hymnal.
To celebrate the wonder of life, the humble beginnings of
our closing hymn today is We Would Be One. It's number 318 in the Great Hymnal.
We journey together on our path to greater understanding, and so together, let's say our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. UUCS is not a building. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, Oregon is just that, a congregation of caring, loving, seekers of truth and meaning. The ritual of the chalice lighting reminds us that the warmth of this community and the light of our combined wisdom is shared no matter how far apart we are. Here at UUCS, we light our chalice for all of our members and friends, for our partner church in Cherie, Transylvania, Romania, and for our children and youth. May this flame rise up and show us beauty and joy. services every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. You can find the link on our website, which is uusalem.org. Too many people in our world don't know where they may be able to get their next meal, where they will lay their head tonight, whether their few meager possessions will be safe while they sleep. Too many people exist day to day in a way of life I cannot even begin to imagine. I encourage you to engage in random acts of kindness in the coming week. Your small gesture could mean so much to someone. Each morning I rise from my comfortable bed and know that I have food and shelter. I have the love of friends and family and the resources I need for my health and well-being. I am thankful for these blessings. I hope you will take the time this week to be grateful for all the blessings of your day-to-day life, the small blessings that always surround us. Sharing our sorrows lessens the burden, and sharing our blessings multiplies the joy. The joys and sorrows of our members can be found on our website, uusalem.org. I hope you'll log in and view the messages left by others and leave a message about yourself so we can share in each other's lives. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come. Stardust and sunlight mingling through time and through space. Out of the stars have we come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come. Time out of time before time, in the vastness of space. Earth spun to orbit the sun. Earth with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas. Earth warmed by the sun, lit by sunlight. This is our home. Out of the stars have we come. Mystery hidden in mystery. Back through all time. Mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea. Out of the stars, rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life. Ponder this thing in your heart. Life up from the sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love. Life from the sea, warmed by the sun, washed by the rain. Life from within, giving birth, rose to love. This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth. Life upon earth rose to love. This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart, cry wonder. Sing that we live.
Good morning, friends. At various times in the past, I've spoken to you of how, as Robert Weston reminds us in the reading that we just had, that the universe, over the course of 14,000 million years, gave rise to, among many other things, Homo sapiens, humanity, humanness. how the qualities of humanness emerged on planet Earth very recently in the cosmic unfolding. Even for those already familiar with this vast evolutionary story, it's a lot to digest, a lot to make sense of in our minds, and a lot to absorb into our hearts. We suppose, fairly I reckon, that it's not the way of bacteria, barnacles, or beetles to reflect upon these things, nor bees, trees, or even chimpanzees. Whatever degree and type of sentient awareness these other beings possess, it seems fairly clear that they have not the mental equipment to ponder such a story, nor probably the inclination to do so. But we humans do. And perhaps in some sense, that is the unique vocation of our species. I'm not going to reiterate the story of evolution this morning. What I want to do is invite us to enter into a prayerful reverie and contemplate the inspiring realities suggested by an evolutionary understanding. Any religion, whether a worldwide institution or a personal faith, must help to draw us into a living relationship with the deep and mysterious source of life, must help us to begin to apprehend both the oneness of all beings and the differentiation of beings, must help us to achieve a living sense that our lives participate in a grandeur that transcends our workaday preoccupations. Some of us, when faced with the enormity of outer space, the immensity of microscopic space, and the vastness of time, feel humbled, humiliated even, as the things we take so seriously day by day are revealed to be, as suspected, minuscule in the grand scheme. Others feel our vision expanded beyond the dramas of the conventional social order, exalted by knowing and feeling ourselves to be an aspect of this magnificent unfolding. Exalted by realizing that though the world was not created for us, we are very particular, indeed unique expressions of a creative mystery far, far beyond our apprehension. Some feel exalted by accepting the status of child of the universe, child of God, manifestation of mystery. Of course, we might feel all this and more, humbled, humiliated, liberated, exalted, awakened. I invite you to ponder now for just a moment how the great mystery of this existence touches your mind and heart. And here's the exuberant reflection of Rabindranath Tagore. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death, in ebb and flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment. Some of my favorite reflections on the emotional and psychological implications of evolutionary awareness come from Loren Eiseley. This is a collection of bits from his classic book, The Immense Journey. The profound shock of the leap from animal to human status is still echoing in the depths of our subconscious minds. And he says, then referring to the earliest humans, for the first time, a living creature contemplated itself and heard with a sudden unaccountable loneliness the whisper of the wind in the night reeds. Perhaps they knew there in the grass by the chill waters that they had before them an immense journey. We cannot know all that has happened in the past or the reason for all these events, any more than we can with surety discern what lies ahead. We have joined the caravan, you might say, at a certain point. We will travel as far as we can, but we cannot in one lifetime see all that we would like to see or learn all that we hunger to know. Isley goes on. The human being of today, the atomic manipulator, the aeronaut who flies faster than sound, has precisely the same brain and body as the ancestors of 20,000 years ago, who painted the Ice Age mammoths on the walls of caves. Symbolic communication had begun. Creature of dream, we had created an invisible world of ideas, beliefs, habits, and customs, which buttressed us about and replaced for us the precise instincts of the lower creatures. We are living, at least partially, within a secret universe of our own creation, and sharing that secret universe in our head with other similar heads. The Eden of the eternal present that the animal world had known for ages was shattered. We had crossed over into a knowledge of past and future. Sometimes people think that this kind of contemplation is a kind of luxurious whipped cream that goes on top of a life with no serious problems or struggles, that it's of no relevance to someone with a broken heart or a painful circumstance. I'd like to share with you a story which illustrates the potential of evolutionary awareness to be of great relevance to a suffering soul in a time of terrible tragedy. Zoltan Tori was a 21-year-old working in a battery factory. One day, a barrel broke and rained battery acid over his head. His eyes and vocal cords were destroyed by the acid. This tragedy was the beginning of a remarkable journey of discovery, and it was sparked by an evolutionary reflection. Listen to Zoltan Tori tell it in his own words. In the days and weeks following my accident, fading in and out of consciousness in a hospital ward, it began to sink in that this was really a horrible situation I was in. I was witnessing my life ebbing away, as though it were being channeled and tunneled into some dark, irreversible trap. As the night wore on, my reflections deepened. I thought, instead of asking what God and the universe can do for me, why don't I ask what I can do for God and the universe? What can I do to improve things, to create love and understanding, and promote a positive cause? In my mind, I began to review everything I understood about evolution. I knew that the universe began with this big bang, that you and me and everything else out there was all compacted in this single mathematical point. Quite obviously, what we are comes from there. And I came to the conclusion that there was an unmistakable directionality in all this. This expanded form that we are appears to have a natural tendency to generate awareness from within. chemistry became biochemistry, and life broke through into consciousness. And human consciousness is the advancing edge of this magnificent process. Well, this has implications, he thought. I felt that I owed this process, to say the least, my cooperation, my interest, my effort, and most of all, my intellect, the very thing that evolution had supplied me with. You see, we human beings are constantly in the presence of a miracle, and we are so often completely blasé about it. We just sort of float through life as if the price of petrol is all that matters. Things are not seen in the proper perspective. To me, all this is absolutely miraculous. I just felt I ought to somehow find a way to get on the right wavelength with reality, with the rhythm and directionality of creation. And that's what I have against, shall we say, conventional religion. It very often puts people to sleep rather than causing them to strive to reach God, to reach understanding, to maximize their effort to worship, you might say. They just sit back and think, oh, I'll go to church on Sunday or whatever. And that's it. And this is simply not good enough. This life is a tremendous privilege for us to have. I feel a sense of debt toward the vast unfolding process that is expressed in me. I owe it all I can give. What if I could contribute to the trend of evolution by helping to shed light on the nature of consciousness itself? From this initial inspiration, Zoltan Torey set about reconstructing his life on a new basis. Harnessing the newly appreciated evolutionary miracle of his consciousness, he learned to see without eyes. In the absence of sensory data from the eyes, with which we usually construct a mental picture of the world out there, he expanded his power of visual imagination, making use of other inputs. He became able to picture the scene around him with both accuracy and great vividness, allowing him both to navigate the physical environment successfully and to live in a visually rich world. In his mind's eye, seeing other people's facial expressions and a full array of details in the room around him. Even climbing around on the roof of his house and single-handedly replacing the gutters, to the horror of his neighbors. And if you've ever tried to replace gutters, even with help, or even contemplated that, you would know how shocking that is for a blind person to undertake and succeed. He became a clinical psychologist, and after 40 years of inspired study and introspection, making use of his unique situation in life, Zoltan Torey published an important book, The Crucible of Consciousness, an integrated theory of mind and brain. He died a few years ago, 63 years after his terrible accident. Parenthetically, perhaps in these COVID times, we might try using our visual imagination to see the facial expressions of people who are wearing face coverings. Lauren Isley says we live in a secret universe. He's talking about culture, the mental world, the shared dream we humans create and live mainly within. Most of our waking attention is given to navigating that world. It's a world steeped in concepts of property and money, entitlement and obligation, justice and injustice. Imagine a future society, a future culture, a future ideal world with a deeply integrated evolutionary sense of who we are and what we are about, where we understand humans as having a unique and particular role in the grand scheme, but not separate from or above the rest of nature, where the interplay of life on planet Earth is held in reverence and valued above all personal and group concerns, where understanding of the human psyche and the human brain and our whole bacterial, reptilian, mammalian, primate heritage gives us deep insight and wisdom regarding how best to guide our offspring into their fullness as human animals. How to raise our kids, in other words. Where the concept of race as an emotionally charged distinction is a quaint superstition, worthy only of an amused chuckle. Where the big decisions of society are made with careful reference to the interests of the entire community of life across many generations, because that is simply how we understand our situation. Where all this is taken as given, as uncontroversial as the idea that Earth revolves around the sun. Impossible? A utopian fantasy? Hardly. Consider the prospects for human culture 2 or 3 lifespans down the road. 10 lifespans. Is it not probable that ecological and evolutionary understandings, which today seem kind of science-y and politically charged, will then be completely matter of fact? Remember, 3 lifespans ago, microorganisms were literally unknown. 2 lifespans ago, they were the obscure mutterings of laboratory scientists. By 1 lifetime ago, ordinary housekeepers were using Lysol to sanitize their bathrooms. Evolutionary perspective still glistens with novelty. Our institutions and social norms have only begun to reflect it. Of course, there's no guarantee that human society will fully incorporate evolutionary awareness as cultural wisdom, but there's no special reason to suppose it will not. Evolution is not only a way of understanding how events in the past led to what is today, but a process that continues into the future, one which has presumably not reached an end with the advent of Homo sapiens. Here's Loren Eiseley again as he contemplates a very ancient mammal fossil that he's come upon. He says, the creature had never lived to see a human. And what was it I was never going to see? People would bring God into the compass of a shopkeeper's understanding and confine him to those limits, lest he proceed to some unimaginable and shocking act, create, perhaps, a being more beautiful than the human. As for me, I believe nature capable of this, and feel no envy, any more than the frog envies the reptile, or the ancestral ape should envy the human. Is it unimaginable and shocking to contemplate a post-Homo sapiens creature with physical capabilities and intellectual capacities and moral and aesthetic sensitivities as far beyond ours of today as ours are beyond the chimpanzee or the frog? In the big picture, does that seem unlikely? Does that prospect demean our existence? Does it perhaps exalt us to play a part in, to contribute to the advancement of something yet more wondrous than ourselves? I invite you now to enter into a time of meditation. Let your attention come to rest on the sensation of breathing in and out. Bear witness to this moment of being a sentient mammal on planet Earth. Breathing as all mammals do. And I would offer a prayer for evolutionary mind, and I invite you to join your heart with mine if you are so moved. By the Spirit which perceives the world through our eyes, and through all eyes, and ears, and noses, and skins, and intuitive senses, whose blood is the ocean, cloud, rain, river, ocean, whose bones are galaxy clusters, whose breath is the vast emptiness inside the atom, whose joy is the trillion-fold dance of life. In this great mystery, may we awaken to the magnificence which is unfolding within and all around us. And in response, may we venture the fullest expression of our being, self-concerned and generous, individual and communal, material and spiritual, knowing and deluded, insistent and humble, absurd, lovable, and loving.
Sometimes it can seem like your contributions are just a drop in the bucket compared to the needs of the world. But remember that when your donation, your effort, your funds are combined with those of the entire community, we can do so much to heal a hurting world. Please join your resources with others to support UUCS and its many ministries. As this is the 5th Sunday of the month, our Share the Plate recipient is the Lifespan Religious Education Fund. Please make your contributions by logging on to uusalem.org or through the mail. Your generosity is so greatly appreciated. I have kindled the social justice lantern from our community chalice. This is the flame of service, justice, and kindness with which we serve the wider world through all the ministries of our congregation. The extinguishing of the chalice flame does not diminish the warmth and love of the community it represents. It burns fiercely in our hearts until we are together again. Amen.
Our closing hymn today is A Fire Mist and a Planet. It's number 343 in the Gray Hymnal.
Please join your spirit with those around you and everyone in our community as we say our closing words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.